Bright Duty. Every student matters.
Hello children, welcome to the session. In this session, we are going to discuss the topic, what if it rains heavily? Yes children, you all are aware of the fact that different regions of the world receive different amount of rainfall, right? And so we are going to discuss this aspect, that what will happen if the amount of rainfall increases drastically. What will happen? Okay children, so let us now move ahead. And we all know that there are certain areas in the world which receives rainfall throughout the year children. Okay, there are areas where rainfall is received throughout the year, whereas there are certain areas which receives rainfall only once a month or twice a month. So children, but in let's talk about our country. And our country receives rainfall only during the monsoon season, right? And most of the agriculture in India is dependent on monsoon and the right time of its arrival, because fields require water through rainfall. And if it will not rain at the proper time when the when the crops are standing there, then whole of the crop will be spoiled, right children? So the correct arrival of this monsoon season is also very important in a country like ours. Okay children, so in our country rainfall is received during monsoon season, and our agriculture is completely dependent on monsoon. Okay children, so let's now move ahead and just imagine what will happen if this rain is very heavy as compared to what it falls every year, and what will be the problems that may have been caused due to the heavy rainfall. And you can observe it from this picture too, that all of the area, all the fields, standing crops will be spoiled, they will be submerged under water. And not only the fields, but even the houses of people may get flooded due to heavy rainfall. So children, the amount of rainfall received should also be balanced, right? If it will not be balanced and the amount of rainfall is too much, then it may cause flooding. And children, this is very very dangerous situation, because as you can observe also that whole of the area has been submerged under water. And you can observe these animals, domestic animals, they are also sometimes washed away along with water. Okay children, so it is a very dangerous situation. Let us read this. Heavy rain may lead to rise in the level of waters, right? The water level in the water sources like rivers, lakes and ponds will rise drastically above the level of danger. Okay children, and this may then spread over the large areas and causes floods. Okay children, it will cause flooding. Okay, let's move ahead. And the crop fields, forests, villages, cities etc. may get submerged under water. And this is a really sad sight, because many of people, hundreds of people might lose their lives, animals lose their lives. And children, in our country floods cause extensive damage to crops, domestic animals, property as well as the human life. And we have discussed all of these points, that how dangerous or how difficult the situation may get due to flooding. So if it rains in excess, there will be flooding. Okay children, then during floods children, we have discussed that animals that may be living in that area will be also carried with water. And sometimes they are trapped in such areas where there is no access to food, and they may ultimately have to die of scarcity of food, or maybe they drown in water. So these are very difficult situations that we may face if there will be excess of rainfall. Okay children, then let us jot down all of these points and think about the situation or the problems that we may suffer due to excess rainfall. So children, after heavy rainfall or flooding, people may suffer from a lot of diseases, because there are several waterborne diseases children. People may suffer from diarrhea, they may suffer from cholera. There are several other diseases children which may be caused after heavy rainfall or flooding. then the crops will be destroyed, so there will be no food available and people may starve to death. So second problem may be starvation. Then the third problem is loss of residential buildings and property. So the areas, their houses or the property that they have may get submerged under water and they will end up having no place to live. Just imagine the situations, children, how difficult this can get. And then there will be loss of lots of human lives. They may get drowned, they may die of starvation or these diseases, right? Then there is loss of domestic cattle, which may be the domestic cattle that we were talking about. They may flow along with the flow of water, or they may end up on some area where there is no food, and they may end up, or they might even suffer from diseases too. Okay, children? Then loss of standing crops. So the crops, those which were ready, the crops that were ready to be harvested, they might get destroyed, right, children? And last, the food chain is also destroyed, because the crop is destroyed, then there will be no food for the survival. So food chain is completely disturbed, children, because the animals also die, humans also die, so the complete chain of food is destroyed. So these are all the problems that we might suffer in case of flooding. Okay, children? Then after floods, what are the conditions of epidemic or diseases that may spread after heavy rainfall? These may be cholera, they may be diarrhea and other waterborne diseases which may spread, and within a matter of time. It doesn't take so much time for the spread of such diseases. They spread so quickly and they may cost us loss of so many human lives, children, and this will be really sad and the situation may get out of control. So flooding is really difficult situation. You will have to imagine out a situation wherein in an area the rainfall becomes too less. So how can we put this? We can put this in a way that what will happen if it does not rains for a long period of time. So children, can you imagine the consequences if it doesn't rain for so long? Let's imagine a situation where there is no rain for almost a year or more, maybe 2-3 years. What will happen? So now we are going to discuss about it. So children, in such situation, water from the surface of the earth will still continue to go into the atmosphere. Right? It will continue to go into the atmosphere by the two processes that we have learned. And what were the two processes? We have learned that by the process of evaporation and transpiration, by the processes of evaporation and transpiration, the water from the surface of the earth goes into the atmosphere in the form of water vapor, right? And these two processes would still be occurring, okay? But the water is not returning back to the surface of earth. So children, can you imagine about the water cycle wherein we had studied, it had two parts. So first part is working properly, but the other part, that is returning of water from the atmosphere again to the land in the form of rain, is not occurring. So this balance of water will be disturbed completely and we will receive no rainfall. And the soil will become so dry that it won't be good enough to grow any plants or vegetation, right? And there will be a situation which is known as drought, wherein there is no supply of rainwater and the soil becomes completely dry and so unfit for growing anything. Okay, children? So what will happen is the level of water in the water sources like ponds and well will also go down, okay? Because we know that the ponds, rivers, wells, all of these sources gets replenished by rainwater, and since rain is not occurring, so the level of water in these water sources will drop down. Right? And also the level of the underground water will drop down. Why? Because there will be no rain to be absorbed by the soil, and soil has become so dry. And this situation is known as, children, this situation is known as drought. Okay? So I hope that you would have understood this situation of drought. So children, now can you think of one thing, that even if the rain is should always be in what should we say, rain should always be balanced. If it is too much, then it will cause flooding, and if it's too less, it will cause a situation of drought. Okay children, so rain should be always balanced. So we have this water cycle, we have the balance of this nature which should always be maintained. Okay children, so such a situation where there is too less of a rainfall is really again very difficult situation, right? Then students, what will happen? What will be the consequence of drought? So children, after drought, there will be no vegetation, there will be no agriculture. So people will lose their livelihood, and it will lead to poverty. And they will be having no money, which means they have no money, right? And there will be no food and a situation of famine. And what is famine, children? It is the situation where there is scarcity of food, okay? So, drought may lead to a situation of poverty and famine. Okay? So, I really hope that you would have understood, and you would have understood the importance of the balance of nature and the balance of rainfall that we receive every year. It should always be in balance. If it is too much, then there will be a situation of flooding. And if it's too less, then there will be a situation of famine. So, children, I really hope that you would have understood this concept really well. How can we conserve water? So children, now we are going to learn that how we can conserve water. But before that, we need to understand that why do we need to conserve water? Because we know that 3/4 of the earth's surface is already covered with water, right? So we have a large amount of water around us. Then why do we need to conserve it? This is because, children, the earth is definitely covered with a lot of water, but all of this water is not fit for drinking. There is very small amount of water which is fit for drinking. So we must conserve it for our future generations too. Okay children, so let us study about it. The demand for water is increasing every day with the increase in population, right? And there are such sites in different parts of the world where people have to stand in a long queue just to get a few buckets of water, right children? So there is a problem of water scarcity in many areas. So children, we should always conserve water, okay? Then children, not only for our domestic uses, but industries are also using water. So that is why the more and more setting up of the industries is causing scarcity of water. So this is one more reason for the scarcity of water and why we should conserve water. And students, let's think of the ways in which we can conserve water. So students, we can do lot many steps on our personal level through which we can conserve water. For example, very simple, that we should not waste water. For example, whenever we are brushing our teeth, so we should turn the tap off for that time, so that we can save little amount of water, right? Just think of the situation for the people who have to walk miles and miles just to bring a few buckets of water. So for them, for your coming generations, we should always think about conserving water, and we should always use it carefully, okay? So, and also one more way is you can use bucket for taking a shower, bucket and mug for taking a shower, and instead of directly using a shower, okay? So in that way also you can preserve a large amount of water, right? Then also we can use better methods of irrigation so that we can save water. Look children, what happens while irrigating is, if we supply the water to the fields very quickly, then most of the water will wash away. So there are certain techniques in which we do drip irrigation. What do? We do drip irrigation. And in drip irrigation, what happens is, we drop or we supply water to the fields in drops, right? And gives the proper time for the water to seep down into the soil, and it will not lead to the quick washing away of water along with the soil. So we can use advanced methods of irrigation to irrigate our fields, and in this way we can save a large amount of water, right? So I really hope that you would have understood this concept really well, and you would have understood that why do we need to conserve water, and what are the small steps that we can take in order to save water. Okay children, in this session children, we are going to discuss about what is rainwater harvesting. Then we are going to discuss what the government is doing in order to increase rainwater harvesting. And finally, we will discuss two different techniques through which we are doing this process of rainwater harvesting. Okay, so children, first of all, we need to understand why do we need to save this resource, water? Why do we need to harvest this? So children, as we all know that the usable form of water is too less, it's approximately 1%. So children, that is the reason why we need to save on this precious resource, because we have already studied that how important is this for us, right? So that is why we need to do rainwater harvesting. So children, do you know the way in which we can do rainwater harvesting? Let's just read about it. So increasing the availability of the water is to collect rainwater and store it for later use. So children, what we can do, the best source of water that we can get is this rainwater from the rain. So we can collect this rainwater and save it for the future use. Okay, so how do we define rainwater harvesting? So children, this question can be asked as a 1 marker or a 2 marker question. And if it is asked for a 1 marker, how you will have to write about it? You will write the process of collecting and storing rainwater from the roofs or a surface catchment is called as rainwater harvesting. So what is surface catchment? It is that area which is not covered by concrete or pakka floors. It may be a drain which can collect rainwater, or it can be a simple playground, open area where we have soil which can absorb the water and help us renew the underground water. Okay children, so the process wherein we collect the rainwater, either we store it for later use, or what we can do from this, we can use it to refill the groundwater. Okay children, so and what the government is doing about it, in a bid to encourage the rainwater harvesters and acknowledge the efforts of those contributing to it, the government has instituted awards. Government has been creating awards for best rainwater harvester, so that people become more and more aware about rainwater harvesting, and the best rainwater harvester is rewarded at the end of the year. Okay children, so this is the way. But as you know, water is a very precious resource, so you should always try to save on water and try to harvest the rainwater. Okay children, so what is the basic idea behind rainwater harvesting? It is catch the water wherever it falls. Simple. So just remember this phrase, which is catch water where it falls. Okay children, what happens to the rainwater which falls on the places which are mostly covered in concrete and buildings? So children, suppose we have pakka floors which are covered with which are completely covered with concrete roads and buildings. So children, what happens when this water falls on the concrete floor or where the buildings are? It will just go all in waste. So we need something to save on this water. Okay, because water is so precious that we cannot afford to waste such a large quantity of water that we are receiving in the form of rainfall. So children, what we have done, we have created two techniques to save on this water by rainwater harvesting. The first one is just simply allowing the rainwater to go into the ground through roadside drains that collect rainwater. Okay, so we have left spaces like drains or open ground where we have soil, so that water seeps down and helps us to refill the underground water. Okay children, then the second method or second technique is, what is it? It is rooftop rainwater harvesting. So children, in rooftop rainwater harvesting, as you can understand by the name, we are saving the water that falls on our rooftops, right, in the form of rain. So what we do children, we have pipes connected through our roofs which collect this water. Since this water is coming through the terrace, so it might be having some pebbles or soil in it, right? So we cannot use it for domestic purposes. So what we do is, instead of connecting it to a storage tank, what we do is we take it directly to the ground, okay, where through which the water seeps down the surface, okay, seeps down through the soil. Okay, and how is it going to help us? It will help us by it will help us by replenishing the underground water or the groundwater. Okay children, so let us just read about it. So let's just read about it children. In this method, rainwater during the rains is collected from the rooftops to a storage tank through pipes. Okay, and instead of collecting the rainwater in a tank, what we can do is we can allow the pipes to go directly into the pit underground, and this then seeps into the soil to recharge or refill the groundwater. So this is the way children in which we do rooftop rainwater harvesting. Okay, so this was all about rainwater harvesting, and I really hope children that this topic is clear to you. Thank you so much for your attention.